Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I think I'm live now. There was an issue with StreamYard, but we're here now. Welcome if you are rejoining. Welcome if this is your first time. My name is Marissa Price. I am a social worker, healer, Black woman healing, as Glamazzini says. Shout out to Glamazzini. But yeah, this live today is about the bait and switch of DEI roles for Black women. So if you have any experiences working in a DEI role, joining a committee at work, right, and putting in so much effort, time, energy, only for that not to be like received well, right? And a lot of us will go from pet to threat, which I'm going to talk about too, in the workplace. And this is a phenomenon that Black women experience, unfortunately, often in the workplace, right? Being sought out for our talents, our abilities, our skills, our gifts, all of these things, and then someone gets intimidated by those gifts, those talents, those abilities, those skills. And it can be very confusing when you don't know what's happening to you. And I think even us having a term like from pet to threat, coined by three Black women professors, Dr. Keisha Thomas, Dr. Rosemary Phelps, Dr. Juanita Johnson Bailey, even having that terminology to put on what our experience has been life-changing for me. And I'll say that. But yeah, welcome. If you are joining, please let me know in the chat that you're here. This weekend coming up is a Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. And you can register still until tomorrow is the last day to register for the live summit. And after that, the replays will be available for purchase. You can go to jobliberation.heysummit.com. And this is for Black women who are in toxic jobs currently and looking to make your exit plan, getting your finances in order, right? Getting like how to start a business, which is what I did to exit a toxic job, utilizing the skill set that I already had. And that's a session I will be co-leading with Dr. Kamani, who is my co-host of the summit. We will be leading that session, so I'm very excited about it. So if you are in a toxic job right now, know that there are options for you. We're going to talk about that too, because it can feel like there are no options sometimes. You can get so like bogged down by the trauma. It's very real, especially in DEI roles, because we are working on very deep-rooted systemic issues, right? And they often tap Black women to do this because they know that we're powerful and we are very effective at what we do. But then those abilities start coming up against institutional barriers, and that's where it can get really traumatizing for us in these roles. So yeah, like I said, if you are joining, please, say hi in the chat. We'd love to shout you out. But I will guess I will just start with the first point that I was thinking of. And this is co-opting language, right? So the bait and switch of DEI roles for Black women. The first thing I want to talk about is co-opting language of Black liberation movements. We saw this a lot during 2020, right? After the murder of George Floyd, a lot of corporations put on special initiatives, special tasks. A lot of these Black women were sought out for to lead. And there's a co-opting of language that happens a lot of the time. So we'll be brought into these roles, right? I'll speak for myself. And this language seems very familiar, right? Having the background, hey, Pamela. Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Yes. Having a background in Black studies, a lot of the language that I was seeing in the job that I was in, the workplace that I was in, was very familiar to me. I have a rooting, right, in Black history. And so it seemed very familiar, but then seeing the things that were happening, I'm like, now this doesn't feel at all aligned with what I learned and what I studied, right, at all. And so it's very confusing when you are coming in, again, with language that seems familiar to you. If you have a background in this field of advocating for racial justice, and you see these words being used, and then you realize that's what's happening behind the scenes is like the total opposite. That can be such a shift, right? It can catch a lot of us off guard when we come up against these things. So yeah, the first thing is like the co-opting of language. That's the first point. The bait and switch. The bait is the language sounds familiar. The bait is they bring us in to do these roles because we do have a background in these things. Research, as was the case for me, I was working in a DEI role, so racial equity in the financial realm. So studying, having studied like the injustices, right, in the financial system, going all the way back to the founding of the US itself, having a background in this and being brought in for it, and then people being intimidated by this. And that's very real. And it's confusing. Like I said, from pet to threat can throw a lot of us off if we're not familiar with the ways that it operates and how it tries to like disintegrate our confidence, really. It tries to attack our education, our background, our rooting in these issues because people become intimidated by that, especially when we start to make suggestions that they cannot come up with because they don't have the background, they don't have the lived experience. So yeah, that's real. That's real. And it can make you start to question yourself and your abilities, which is one of the things why I'm sharing my story, right? Please don't question yourself. If anything, right, the first thing, question the institution that you're in. Because a lot of times they are lying to us, bringing us into these roles, again, telling us that they want us to contribute our knowledge, to lead initiatives that push things forward. The whole time they want things to stay the exact same. So what are we really doing here? What are we really doing? It's a ruse. It's a ruse, and it's actually harming Black women deeply in the process. Like, this is not a game. This is not funny, right? You're bringing us in to do these things. You're lying, and then we're being harmed in the process, sometimes to the point of wanting to take our lives, right? These things are very real. Pamela says they don't care to cite Black women. And gaslighting is real. It is. It is. Yeah. That part. Gaslighting. The gaslighting is so real. Yeah, and they don't care to cite Black women. That is another great point, right? Stealing our ideas, stealing our language. For me, that kind of went hand in hand, the gaslighting and the stealing, right? So saying that what I was sharing or proposing was too much, the language that I was using. And then all of a sudden, the next year, I see my language being used in a press release. So I was like, okay, my language was too much last year, but all of a sudden, it's not too much now when you need language for a press release. So this is very real, stealing our ideas that come out of pain and deep trauma, and then using it to market whatever you're doing. Right? And a lot of the things that you're doing are not aligned with our values. So that's why there's the need often in their minds, right, to steal our ideas because they know they couldn't ask us to use that language to promote what they're doing because it's not aligned. And we wouldn't agree to that. That's very real. Thank you, Pamela. Yeah, the gaslighting is real. And the gaslighting leads to self-gaslighting often, which is when other people have gaslighted us, right? Told us that what we're seeing, experiencing is not real, doubting our reality. And then we start to do it to ourselves. And that's when things get really dangerous because now you're questioning how you're feeling. You're questioning what you're experiencing day to day. And that's why I always advocate for keeping notes of your experience, right? Documenting it in case you need to do something like file a severance agreement or negotiate a severance agreement. But also for yourself, right? Voice notes work too. Just any proof that you have of the way that you're being treated in the moment. So then later down the line, when you start to question yourself, if you do experience self-gaslighting, you can go back and return to those notes, those voice notes, and remind yourself that what you're experiencing is real. You're not making it up, right? That's a huge part of the trauma that we experience in these workplaces is feeling like we're making what we're experiencing up. You're not making it up. So many of us have experienced the exact same thing at work, at school, and it is a pattern of abuse that Black women are being subjected to. And enough is enough. We're over it because it's literally shortening our lives. It's taking our lives sometimes. And for what? Right? There's another way that's possible. And it's not us being traumatized for a paycheck. It's not. Yeah, Pamela says exactly, Marissa. They steal our intellectual property contributions and act as if it's without value unless they say it. Pamela, thank you. That is so true. That's so true. Yeah. unless they say it. Unless they say it. That is a great point, and why self-validation, right, is so key. If you are relying on other people to tell you that what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're contributing is valuable, especially if you're working in an institution where they have never demonstrated that before, but you are working yourself to the bone. A lot of us will work even harder when we're experiencing these things, like trying to prove this to other people that we're worthy. That comes from within. And that's something I had to learn. That comes from within. If you continue to seek that, you will run yourself ragged. You will, because that's the key point. Unless they say it, they're never going to credit you or tell you that you're worthy, these things that you're seeking externally, because it gives them power to kind of dangle it in front of you and like keep moving it back. That's real. That is so real. Yes. Okay, go back to my list. Yeah, right along with co-opting of language, right? Stealing language, like I said, coming from deep trauma, pain, and Black liberation movements. We see language being taken out of that, especially in the field of social work, right? To market new initiatives, DEI initiatives, at places that could care less about bringing people in and it being a safe environment, right? And that's one of the things I have on my list too, right? Being in the banking field, being an intern in a DEI internship to try to diversify the banking world, right? The trauma that that I experienced in that role, right? As an intern, as a 19-year-old, with people who did not want me there, clearly. And they told me that. So yeah, what are we bringing people into, right? The purpose of DEI is to, I guess, diversify industries that have been historically white, by bringing people in, right? But you don't want us there. You don't want us there. You just want our faces for your marketing materials so that you can look good to other people. It's almost like a competition between organizations, institutions, right? Who can have the most like faces that are not white. Like it feels very tokenizing. And what does that do, right? Tokenization denies us our humanity when we're only viewed as tokens to serve an interest of promoting, advertising an institution, making people look good, right? Appearing in all the promotional materials. I know that was a thing for me. Them wanting to take my picture as an intern all the time to put on their DEI materials. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I was being subjected to harm, right? And it's enough. It's enough. Yeah. And I've heard like people propose a solution, right? More Black people in STEM roles. And me having been, again, in a STEM role as a Black student, as a Black woman, knowing the level of harm I experienced behind the scenes, I'm like, that solution is not going to cut it. It's really not. It's really not. It's very short-sighted. Yeah. So again, if you're here, please introduce yourself in the chat if you'd like to. We're talking about the harm that DEI roles cause. Again, as we see the backlash against DEI, anything in the US, and now having moved out of the US to Mexico, I kind of have a new perspective on what I was experiencing that entire time, right? Being in DEI roles, internships in the banking world, leading DEI strategies, seeing how it drained me. And that was just kind of the expectation, right? That's put on a lot of us is we just have to be drained because the larger mission is more important than us individually, than our mental health and our physical health. We just have to stay committed to the work. No, we matter too. We matter too, and we have to be well in order to do the work for it to be sustainable. It's very important. Winsome, hi, welcome. Yes, big up yourself. Yes, please subscribe to Winsome's channel, y'all. Big up yourself. Yes. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Yes, I didn't know you had already moved to Mexico. Yeah, yeah. I'm in Guadalajara. I'm in Guadalajara at the moment. Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. And my move outside the US kind of was at the same time of leaving a toxic job because it was more, especially in the field I was in, right? I was realizing the issues I was experiencing were actually deeply rooted and systemic in the very fabric of the US. And so part of my healing process was leaving the US with that. And it has been very healing, right? Not without its challenges, but it has been healing to be outside of a place where I experienced so much harm, right? And tried to give my knowledge, my skills, my expertise, tried my best, and was met with mistreatment and harm at every turn. I mean, you're taking the people who are leading things, right? The people who have the knowledge, expertise, all of these things, and you're mistreating them and you're harming them, they can go elsewhere. And I think more of us are realizing that. You have other options than being in the US, a place that doesn't value us, that still sees us as inferior, that still sees us as 3/5 of a person. And we're busy contributing all of the skills, all of the knowledge. Black women are the most educated group of people in the US, right? And we're still being subjected to this harm. So we know education is not the great equalizer, as they have told a lot of us. It's not. Because the harm that we're experiencing in these roles, no matter what title we have, no matter what level we make it to, a lot of the times it gets even worse. The more education we have, the more degrees that we have, the more of a threat we're being seen as. So, what's the game here? It's like we're being led to be into these spaces to be harmed, being lied to, being sold a dream. Again, the bait of wanting to make a difference, make an impact in our communities. A lot of us have this within us because we see things that are wrong. And these institutions take advantage of that, exploiting us for our labor, right? Over and over, underpaying us, harming us. We're being subjected to aggressive behavior left and right when people start to be intimidated by our skill set that we're bringing to the table. So, what's happening? You know, enough is enough. We are continuing to be subjected to severe harm, right? And there are other options for us. There are other options for us. We don't have to accept that. That's not our lot in life, to be subjected to harm for a paycheck. No. Hey, Southern Babe. Yeah. Hi. I was in a DEI role, but in ERG, Employee Resource Group. Oh, yeah. Yes. And they put it on us employees for a multi-billion company already having a job to retain BIPOC employees. Southern Babe, thank you for sharing that. And yes, Employee Resource Group is a term I'm very familiar with. Yeah, but the extra labor, right, that's required of us, like demanded of us, without pay, without actually like being compensated for this labor. It's like you're just expected to participate in this because, again, you have a calling. They're taking advantage of our calling that we see these systemic injustices occurring. They're like, oh, free labor. No, like enough is enough of that. No, it's not free labor. It's not. And that's something I had to learn, right? Contributing all of your time, energy into these roles, into, like you said, these ERGs that a lot of us are leading because we have a heart for the issue. They are exploiting that, the fact that we care. They view that as an opportunity to exploit our labor. That's disturbing. That is very disturbing. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, can't wait to leave. Yeah. Are you moving to Mexico, Winston? Let me know. Let me know. Yeah. Involvement was voluntary, but I was a mentor to a new engineer. And I'm like, I can't help you because I'm struggling too, sis. Yeah. Non paid positions for DEI put everything on us to fix company racism. Yeah. I can relate to that so much. Involvement was voluntary, right? Voluntary. But there's a lot of pressure put on, especially Black women, to lead these initiatives, these DEI initiatives, again, because they know we have a heart for it, because we see things occurring and they're not right. And they view that as an opportunity to extract more labor from us. Yeah. Put everything on us to fix company racism. Yeah, that's real. That is real. Thank you. I can relate to that. Yeah, in the mentorship, right? I was a mentor as well. And it's difficult because you do want to share with people what's actually going on behind the scenes, but it's like you don't want to ruin their experience for them. It's kind of a weird place to be in, right? You want to prepare them, but you don't want to like ruin that for them. Yeah. Yeah. And the pressure to be a mentor is real too. Yeah. Oh, Pamela. Yay. Same. I'm working on my Black Sit plan as we speak. I'm out of here. Okay. Okay. I love that. Yes. I would love to know where you're moving to if you want to share. Yes. Southern Babe says just to wrap. Yeah. Pamela says that is it exactly. They want us there to co-opt our brilliance, but don't want to support our success. Yes. Yeah. To co-opt our brilliance. I'm writing that down. Thank you. Yeah. When we talk about like co-opting language, that's important too. Co-opting our brilliance. The ideas that we have, the suggestions that we make, it's like utilizing that, right? Squeezing that dry and acting like you came up with it. And it's never going to land right because you stole it. That's real. Yeah. My comment, DEI roles are non-paid and meant to be done on top of our job. Without the ERG, there is no DEI in my organization. Yeah, that's real. That's real. Meant to be done on top of your job that you already have without pay. For what? Right? What's in it for us? More stress. You're not being, maybe you'll be recognized a few times here or there, but like, what's in it for us? I think we should start asking ourselves that question more, right? That's real. That's real. Hey, Alicia. Hey, good to see you here. Welcome. Yes, it's disturbing. It is disturbing. It is very. Rwanda's calling me. Okay. Okay, Rwanda. That's awesome. Rwanda has never been on my list, but maybe I might have to check it out. Okay, Rwanda. Thank you, Winsome. Okay. I think Libria Jones is traveling there. So yeah, okay. Okay. Hey Nate. Fisha, long time just here to support. Absolutely. Good to see you. Pamela says my top choice is Mexico. At present, I'm researching different cities, and I've done a scouting trip to Mexico City. More scouting trips on the horizon. Yay! I love that. I love that. Yeah, Mexico is beautiful, and there are so many different like landscapes here, right? Beaches, mountains, desert. Yeah, it's a very diverse country in that aspect. Yeah. Yeah, I did a scouting trip to Mexico City too. Got stung by a bee my first time out of the country. But yeah, other than that, it was a great trip. I do like Mexico City. It's very, very very crowded, which is hard for me as an introvert, but it is beautiful. There's a lot of like museums, historical things there. So I love it. I love Mexico City. Okay. Getting back to my list. Yeah. Yeah. So Black women DEI roles, they really don't want anything to change, right? That's the lie. They bring us in to change things, right? Based on our backgrounds, again, our education, our expertise, they bring us in specifically to initiate change, but they don't want to change. So what are we doing? We're being harmed in the process of actually trying to carry out our job responsibilities. And the whole time they're lying because they don't want anything to change, because that would mean their power positions would be changed. So it's a lie. And again, a lot of us like will work ourselves past the point of exhaustion trying to fulfill these things in our role that they laid out, right? That we were brought in to do. And it's so confusing when you are actually fulfilling your job responsibilities, you're going above and beyond, and people still don't want you there because the whole time they didn't want you there. They didn't want to change. They wanted the press. So often, they wanted the marketing. They wanted you in their pictures, in their promo materials. That's a really like difficult truth to sit with, but it's like it has to be said because we're being harmed over and over again in these roles, trying to do things like with genuine intentions. Right? But the people who are bringing us in do not have genuine intentions. And they don't care how it's impacting us in the process. They could care less if our health is affected, if we're experiencing depression, right? They could care less. And enough is enough. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Mara. Hey, good to see you here. Yes. Southern Babe says it's funny because I was paired with a white man director in tech because there was no BIPOC at all in tech or any type of leadership role in my mentorship organization. He's nice but can't relate. Felt like his project. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That hurts. That hurts. Felt like his project. Yeah. Yeah. And it's traumatizing. It's traumatizing to be tokenized because you're not being viewed as fully human. You're not, and it's a systemic issue within the US, within the West, right? But within the US context, right? Being viewed as 3/5 of a human, which was in the Constitution at one point, that didn't go anywhere. And so we're still fighting to be seen as human. Still. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Y'all have this huge bottle of water. Oh my God. Yeah, pick up yourself. They don't care about our mental health. No. They'll look for ways to let you go if they know you have mental health issues. Yeah. Yeah. That's real. That's real. They'll look for ways to let you go. Yeah. So it's to that level of inhumanity, right? Not even recognizing that when you do harm someone, they're going to be experiencing mental health consequences. They don't care. And they actually want to get you out sooner because they just view you as like a cog in the machine. You're slowing things up. Let me get somebody else in here to do it. They don't view you as being fully human. Yeah. So we're actually like taking back our humanity by saying no more to toxic jobs. No more. You can't continue to treat us like this over and over again and not face any consequences for your actions. No. And we've seen with the passing of Dr. Antoinette Bonnie Candia Bailey, we've seen the level that this can get to when you are being bullied at work, right? When you're being brought in to do very important work that you, again, you have the education, background, knowledge, training, you have all of that. And a lot of times we'll think that we need more. We'll need another degree, another certification to, right, get the acceptance. And it never comes. And so we're on this constant like hamster wheel trying to chase something. The whole time they're like dangling it and moving it back further. And it's a game to them. Our lives are not a game. Our lives are not a game. This is serious. Yeah. This is serious. Hey, Daniela Elevate, it's good to see you. Hey. Yes. Big up yourself. Oh, now you have to declare on the application whether you have depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a disclosure, right? It's like an optional disclosure when you go to apply for a job. Hmm. Yeah, that's real. And we see as, right, late stage capitalism, as things start to deteriorate, systems will like crunch down even harder with things that were in place before that were unjust, that were not right, um, become even more so because the system feels like it's losing power, right? The system is upheld by people. And when those people sense that they are losing control and power, will tighten their grip even more. And we see that happening, right? Especially in the US. Yeah. Yeah. Southern Babe says, was your DEI role just for optics, Marissa? Because that's how it feels. Yes. I just left my company and they still use my pic for advertising. Oh, I signed the job offer. I didn't read they can use my pic. I was only 20. You left and they're still using your picture. That's not right. Oh my gosh. Hmm. I'm sorry. That's predatory. But yes, to your question, yes. Yeah, it was for optics. Yeah, and me not realizing that. Like I said, the bait and switch. I was actually like doing this with genuine intentions. I was literally like trying to make a difference in the racial wealth gap in the US. We see this having real life ramifications, right? In my life and the lives of my family members, like I'm doing this for real, but they're not. And so that was the wall that I ran into. But yeah, yeah, it was for optics. It was. Yeah. Nate says they say it's optional, but yet we can't go to the next page without putting in answers. That part, optional disclosure. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad to see good things are happening for y'all. I love that. I love that. Okay, yeah, we're being looked at as workhorses too, right? To work on these very deep rooted systemic issues, work ourselves to the bone to solve issues we did not create. Why? Why is that on us? Why is that our task? Why do we have to stay and be harmed? Again, work ourselves ragged past the point of exhaustion on these issues that we did not create. Did we sign up to do that? No. No, but they will make it seem like it's our duty to work on issues that are impacting us. Why? Why is that? Why is that? Yeah, so we're no one's workhorse. I did an interview with Jackie Abram on my channel, which was amazing. But yeah, we're no one's workhorse. We're not here to work ourselves ragged for anyone. That's not why we're on earth. And it's us taking back our purpose, right? Our divine purpose, reason for being here is outside of the work we do. Shout out to Stephanie Perry, right? It's outside of the work we do. because a lot of us will have our identities tied to the work we do. And so that makes things very dangerous when your job goes sideways or you're being bullied at work and your identity is tied to your role, your title. What do you have outside of that? If you haven't taken time to develop your identity, to cultivate your interest, and your job goes away, it feels like everything is crumbling, which is the case for a lot of us, again, especially in DEI roles, because we know that these issues affect us, they affect our families, right? We have a heart for these things and they are exploiting it left and right, and they don't care how it's impacting us. They don't care. They don't care. Yeah, just looking through the comments. Southern Babe says, thankfully, no more NDAs. So if folks ask the company, name and shame them. Has anyone had a good experience with DEI? I'm genuinely asking. I would love to know that too. That's a great question. Yeah, if anyone has had a good experience with DEI, if you're watching this on the replay, like please put in the comments, in the chat now if you're watching. I haven't seen it personally. It may exist. It may exist out there. But we're brought in often to lead these initiatives, right? The harm that it does. I think it's important to gauge like the harm that it does to the individual versus the impact you make in the organization. How are you being harmed daily by pushing back against institutional structural barriers every day? How is that harming you and actually taking years off of your life versus the impact you're able to make in the institution, in the system that will constantly push back at every turn because it wants to stay the same? Yeah. Pamela says basically he was like, I can't put my funding in danger by speaking the truth. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. That's a really good point, especially in social work, right? I have a lot of criticisms of the social work field as I wear like melanated social work shirt. But yeah, it's real. It's real. Like funding is tied to, yeah, people not being able to speak on things, especially when it comes to if you're like reliant on donors as a smaller organization. And the organization that is sponsoring you, donating to you, is doing things that are against your values, you can't speak out against them, right? It creates all these layers of secrecy that we're required to maintain. The entire like nonprofit industrial, is that the right term? Nonprofit industrial complex. But it's like, it's real. All of these layers that exist and people can't share what's really happening because funding is tied to things. If you speak out, there's a chance that they will withdraw it. And if your organization is relying on that, how do you move forward? Yeah, that's true. Hey, Mimi, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. Pamela says, I bet they're afraid of a massive encampment at the convention. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that is the term. Okay, the nonprofit industrial complex is real. The secrecy and silencing is real. It is. It is. It is, yeah. And having interned at nonprofits in graduate school as a social worker, the things I saw behind the scenes just in like months that I was interning, I'm like, ooh, this is very corrupt. This is very corrupt. And often they will put us in charge of initiatives, organizations to kind of confuse people or represent a face to the public of what's actually happening behind the scenes. It's important for us to say no to that, right? You will not use me as a prop. Because that is the case, again, in social work, in helping professions, pushing us to the front to represent things, to have a better face to the public. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, it's like, what is happening? What is happening? And unfortunately, a lot of us are okay with that. A lot of us are okay with that. Which speaks to a lot of different things, right? Yeah, that we have internalized. That lets us feel like that's okay for us to be viewed as a token, as a prop to represent something that we know is not aligned with our values. What's happening behind the scenes? Mm-hmm. Daniela says, I was just watching Stephanie Perry earlier. Lots of good info on her channel. Absolutely. Yes. Y'all, please subscribe to Stephanie Perry's channel. Life-changing. Life-changing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She actually has a free resource called 10 Steps to a Breakthrough. I did that when I was in a toxic job. That was life-changing. Just working through that exercise. But yeah, her channel is everything. Southern Bay says, how do you even ask about how many Black people work for a team in a job interview? Is there a database or some government website that reports stats on employees? LinkedIn's where people lie. Yes, it is. That last sentence, LinkedIn is where people lie. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have trouble with LinkedIn, right? Because everyone's trying to put their highlight reel. I hate that. I hate that because a lot of times it's fake. A lot of times it's fake. But yeah, it is where people lie. I don't know. I don't think there's like a database that I know of that reports stats on employees. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I know a lot of companies will put out like DEI reports, right, to make their numbers look good. That's why they bring a lot of us in, so they look better in these reports that they put out. But I don't know if there's like a centralized database or something like that. I don't know. And how do you even ask about how many Black people work for a team in a job interview? That's a good question. That's a good question. I wouldn't know how to. I would not know how to ask that. Yeah. And even if there are like Black people on a team, like there's no, they may not be aligned, right? Values wise. So that's another thing, right? That's a good question though. I don't know. I don't know. Thank you for asking that though. If you do find that, please let me know. If there's like a centralized database where you can look up statistics. Yeah. TV Davis, hello. DEI in my organization is run completely by women with the complexion for the protection who think equity means that they get to tell me that, oh, that touching my hair is okay because someone touched theirs once. No, no. Mm-mm. I'm sorry. Mm-mm. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, being in the field that I was in, women were in a lot of the leadership roles, leading a lot of equity initiatives and harming Black women behind the scenes. Right? Where's the solidarity in us being women? Was not there. Was not there. But yeah, that's real. That's real. Who is leading DEI initiatives a lot? Yeah. Like who was put to the forefront, the leadership roles? Um, There's a pattern. There's a pattern there. Yeah, and I'm sorry. Touching my hair is okay because someone touched theirs once. No. Mm-mm. That's not okay. That's not okay. Oh, that just reminds me of the Shea Moisture commercial that came out a few years ago. When they put white women in the commercial with red hair saying they experienced discrimination, I was like, white women with red hair? I was so confused by that. No. Mm-mm. It is frustrating. It is. Yeah. Southern Babe says, what's complexion for protection? Oh, white people. Yes. Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm new to this. My eyes are opening. Oh, no. You're good. You're good. Yeah. Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, not Shea Moisture. Yeah, that brand. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Alicia talked about this in your video, right? Um, yeah, seeing that commercial. I'm like, white women with red hair really are out here saying that they are being discriminated against? Hmm. Okay. Okay. That was news to me. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Just looking back at my notes. Um, yeah, the DEI internship I was in college, right, as a 19-year-old, having my supervisor, a white woman, again corner me and ask me why her son didn't get the internship and I did. We're being harmed over and over again in these roles behind the scenes, being brought in under false pretenses. And it's not right. It's not right. Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. And I think more recognition needs to be brought to that, especially for Black students coming into fields that are mostly white, like tech, like banking, finance overall, right? Any field really that's predominantly white. What environment are they being brought into? You can have all these DEI initiatives to get your numbers up, to get the marketing materials going. We know that's the reasoning behind a lot of these things. But how are people being harmed? Right? Young people just out of college, not even still in college. That's real. What environment are we being brought into for the purpose of DEI that is harming us? And is it worth it? Is it worth our lives? Is it worth us having more numbers at a place that still doesn't want us or view us as human? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that same internship I had another white woman supervisor say that I look like Lauren Hill. Ooh, that memory just came back. Yeah, that was real. Um, there's so many thoughts on that. There's so many thoughts. But yeah, yeah, what environment are we being brought into? Yeah, 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 yeah. That was real. That was real. Again, in a DEI internship, right? Specifically bringing Black students into the banking field through internships. That's the program I was in. And y'all, I was at the top of my class, and I could not get an internship to save my life. And so I applied for a DEI internship at a bank locally in St. Louis and got it. But the harm that I was subjected to along the way Was that worth it? Right? To be in the institution, to be in finance, was that worth it? The harm that it caused me along the way? No. No. Yvette, hey, I can tell you that tech space puts the T in toxic. I believe it. Very harmful and not worth it. I believe it. Yeah, I have heard stories. I think Southern Babe shared with us, but yeah, stories of being black in tech, right? And we're being sold like just go into tech and all your worries will disappear. No, that's actually not accurate because a lot of us are being, again, harmed. So you have the paycheck, but you don't have your mental health. Why is that a trade off that we're forced to make? I don't understand. No. Oh, no. I was told by a white woman in leadership that I should just be grateful to be where I am, considering where I'm from. Mm-mm. I'm sorry. No, no. Mm. That's infuriating. That's infuriating. Mm. You did not deserve to experience it. I'm sorry. Mm. Yeah, Mimi says Shea Moisture should know better. I don't know if y'all saw Stephanie Perry's recent video on her second channel. She talked about a wine company with Black girl written all over it. Oh no. Offering sponsorships to white people. Eek. Mm-mm. I didn't see that, Mimi. I gotta go back and watch that. No. Mm-mm. Yeah, Shea Moisture. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I was told I look like Oh no, I was told I look like Princess Tiana. I don't know how to feel about that. I love that movie, but no. No. Because it's like, would they say that to anyone else? Why do they feel that level of comfort? Right? Mm, I'm sorry. Tech. Yeah. Yeah. She did. Yeah. She absolutely did. Yeah. Again, I had a supervisor at my first banking internship. Yeah, say I look like Lauren Hill. There's so many things. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start with that. Yeah. And then confusing me for the other black intern. I'm like, there's only 5 of us? You can't remember 5 people's names. Stop. Stop. Yeah. I can't get over it either. Yeah. I can't. Still. That was how many years ago? That was 11 years ago, and I'm still not over it. I'm still not over it. Yeah. 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 Yeah, and that goes back to our nervous systems, right? When we are in these environments being subjected to harm, being called people like we look like. It's like, what does that have to do with me being at work? Right? And the impact that that has on our nervous system going forward. Because these instances are traumatizing and they're actually like aggressive behavior, often covert aggressive behavior, as we see in the workplace, especially now, right? Um, but the impact is huge. And we carry that with us to other work experiences, to even entrepreneurship, really. Um, and how is that impacting us long term? To be subjected to harm in these spaces where people actually don't really want us. And we're fighting to be seen, to be recognized for our accomplishments, to be acknowledged. We're spending so much time, energy, effort doing these things that should be already given. Why do I have to convince you? Why? Who are you? Right? If we want to talk about like who should be convincing who, that's a whole different conversation because we've seen the mediocrity on full display. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I was plastered all over my old tech company's website representing the women, old and black folk, when I was the only black female engineer there. I'm sorry. That's trash. That's trash. And I hate that they take our pictures and like use us like to put on get on their promotional materials to make them look better all the time when they're treating us horribly behind the scenes. That's a lot. I'm sorry you experienced that. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that with us because I'm sure a lot of us can relate. I can relate to it. Yeah. Hmm. Just scrolling through the comments. No. That makes me want to get up. Hold on. Paula Deen? This reminds me of a time a white woman told me I looked like some black celebrity. I forgot, but I know I didn't look like him. Oh, and you said she looked like Paula Deen. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. Oh my God. That is funny. That is funny. Yes. Oh, yay. I can't wait either. Yes. Alicia's one of our speakers at the upcoming Job Liberation Virtual Summit coming up this weekend, which you can still register for. Yeah. Come join us. Come join us. We have 11 Black women speakers giving you advice if you're still in a toxic job, practical exit planning tips, as well as healing strategies and tools. But yeah, information that I wish I had, and Dr. Kamani wishes that she had. She is my co-host of the summit as we were exiting toxic jobs and starting our own businesses, which both of us will be co-leading a session, how to start a business utilizing your existing skill set. Because we already have so many skills. And a lot of us think that we have to go out and get another degree, another certification. But it's important to take inventory of the skills you already have and realize the ways that you can go if you do want to pursue entrepreneurship in the future. But yes, I'm excited about Alicia's session too. Yay. Yes. Oh, Ethan. We used to have our company picnics at Thomas Jefferson's house. including a tour of the slave quarters. No, that's another topic. Tours of houses for people who were enslaved lived. Ooh. In the weddings, right? All of these like celebratory events that happened where such atrocities occurred that you can just overlook and not acknowledge and not feel the weight of that, because that energy stays there. What was created in that space. Yeah, we see like plantation tours. Ooh, that brought up a lot. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. That's horrible. That is horrible. Yeah. Just looking through my notes. Yeah, so we're being harmed again, traumatized, scarred in the process of trying to impact change in these institutions, in these spaces. And it doesn't have to be like that. We should not have to suffer for a paycheck. We should not have our mental health affected so deeply. Some of us are experiencing severe depression being in these types of roles because all of the efforts that we make to change things are being met with like roadblocks at every turn. And again, if you've attached your identity to your role, and it's not working out, it's not going well, that can be detrimental to your personhood because now you've attached what you do with who you are. It's important to detach those things. Who you are is permanent. What you do changes, it can change like any day. But a lot of us have been taught to do that, to find worth in what we do. And that's dangerous because you're putting your worth in someone else's hands. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Tea Time Beauty. Welcome. Listen. Hold on. Hey. Like, are we taking people of Jewish heritage to the Holocaust Museum for the company picnic? No, we are not. No, we are not. Again, a place where such atrocities occurred. Why are we going to a plantation for a company picnic? That's real. Or a wedding. Why are you okay with having your wedding at a plantation? That's disturbing. That's disturbing. That tells me that you don't see the people who were as enslaved like as human at all. You can't. If you're okay with that, right? Celebrating again where such atrocities occurred, touring people's houses who were restricted, confined against their will. And you're taking pictures, right? Wedding pictures. Like, what? That's disturbing. That's disturbing. And that tells me something about you, right? If you're okay with that. Mm. Mm-mm. No. Yvette says, yeah, these tech companies are something else. Charlottesville was not to be played with trauma. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Trauma. Yeah. 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 And again, like speaking from my experience, right, being tasked to lead a racial equity initiative after the murder of George Floyd, and actually doing it in good faith, right? Studying the things, like trying to perfect my role, all these things, like wearing myself out. And the whole time it was a ruse. And so just me, hopefully by sharing my story, other people can relate to that, right? Please don't work yourself to a pulp trying to do these things that are not actually real, because you matter so much more than any initiative, than any strategy. And it's not your task to fix what you did not create. It's not. It's not on you. It's not. And if you have a heart for these things, you can do that outside of your job. Because a lot of us will feel like we have to lead additional activities, right? Employee resource groups, like was mentioned before. These take a lot out of us. And what are we getting in return? Right? Yeah. What are we getting in return? A pat on the back for the trauma that we're exposed to day after day, having to teach people who already know. They act like they don't, but who already know about these issues. They don't care. They don't care. But meanwhile, we are trying our best to make a difference because we see the issues. The issues are real. They exist right in front of our eyes. The disparities, the dehumanization left and right. And a lot of us feel like it's our task to try to burn ourselves out trying to fix these things when it was a problem that we did not create. We didn't create it. Just reading through the comments here. Hey, Tammy. Good to see you. Ladies, it's so nice to get together and vent out frustrations, isn't it? I really enjoy these lives. It helps to know we're not alone. Thank you. Yeah. No, not alone at all. And it can feel like it. It can feel isolating, especially if you're one of a few in a lot of these industries, roles. Yeah, even if there are people who look like you, not necessarily aligned with you values wise. And that can be difficult as well. It can feel isolating. But yeah, hopefully these spaces remind you that no, you're not alone. A lot of us feel the same way about a lot of things. Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's so disrespectful celebrating when people suffered. It is. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Child Free with Mimi says that's such a good point. It's crazy how quickly they call it anti-Semitism as they perpetuate racism day in and day out. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Ooh. Nate says, let me relax. They already tried to get me when there were pics floating of a certain flag burning at certain protests. I'm chilling now. Oh, yeah, that makes me think of the 6th of January when they had all the trouble in the world finding the people who were there. I'm like, y'all have our picture for everything else. You can identify us. But is that difficult? You have to ask for the public's help? Come on. Come on. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Yeah. Time beauty. I didn't create it. It's not my responsibility to fix it. It's not. It's not. No. And we're being convinced that it is. Why? Why is our responsibility to fix issues we did not create, that we are actually suffering from? It's on people who are experiencing oppression to fix the issue of oppression, not the oppressor. What's the oppressor doing? That's the question I have. What are you doing? You're still doing the same thing. And so that's a trap, right? Leading people in who have been affected by oppression to work on an issue that has personally affected their lives, the lives of their family members. Meanwhile, you're still doing the same thing. You haven't stopped oppressing. You haven't stopped oppressing. That's the issue. Mhm. Okay, yes, my responsibility is to take care of myself the best I know how, learning more ways to love myself every day. I love that. Me too. Me too. Yep. Take care of yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Because the way that you take care of yourself kind of emanates, right? To everything else in your life, to everyone else in your life, how you take care of yourself and prioritize yourself. That's crucial. We cannot be overlooked, right? The mission is not greater than us, than our individual health and well being. The mission that we serve is not greater than that because we have to be well to do it, to make any impact at all, if we have a heart to do it. Yeah. Okay. Becky, get your cousin. That's your folks disenfranchising people. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. I came at the right time. This is community healing right here. Yeah. Yeah. And healing doesn't have to look like, I think a lot of us are taught like in a therapist office only. That is a source of healing. And a lot of us unfortunately experience oppression in therapeutic settings. So that can't be the only way of healing. And therapy is inaccessible as well, especially in the US, which is a whole different conversation. But there has to be modes and methods of healing outside of that. And we have to learn that it's within too, that we don't always have to seek without. A lot of healing is coming back into who you always were before these systems tried to rob you of those parts of yourself. Hmm. Let's read through the comments. January 6th was the greatest show of privilege because ain't no way, honey. No, you couldn't find the people. You couldn't find the people in the Capitol with all of the surveillance that you could ever dream of. You can identify them? Come on. Yeah. Childhood Mimi says, truth be told, I know I'd cry if I go to any of those places with anything to do with slavery, whether it's here in the US or over in Africa. Yeah. Yeah. Um, the energy. I can only imagine the energy, the heaviness. Hmm. Yeah. And me even like watching, what was that show called? I forgot the name of the show on Netflix. Um, yeah, seeing that, just watching that hurt me. And I can't imagine what being there in person and feeling that Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. Yeah. That makes me think of like reading narratives of people who were enslaved in college, right? That almost broke me because it's like, wow, hearing people's firsthand accounts of the evil, of the atrocities. I don't think there's a word in the English language that like properly describes what enslavement was. Um, yeah, it was hard. It was hard, and I can't imagine right going to. I think it's in. Is it in Ghana? The place I'm thinking about. Yeah, yeah. Exactly why I said they should never invite me on those picnics because something's gonna go up in flames. I mean, for real, for real. Why are y'all scheduling work picnics at a plantation? Mm, that's so disturbing. That's so disturbing. Yeah, Ghana. Yeah, yeah. You know what is the show? What is the name of that show on Netflix? I cannot think of it. About food, and I think he actually did go to Ghana, if I'm not mistaken. I can't think of it, but yeah, yeah, that was hard to watch. Even that, I can't imagine being there in person. Yeah, yeah. How can you go into a plantation with any other intention than reverence, sorrow, heartbreak? Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. Mm, yeah. Yeah, and the fact that it's even termed a plantation instead of something like a death camp, right? Even plantation has this like kind of weird vibe that's created in American culture a lot. Um, and knowing the atrocities that occurred there, it's like, we're still focused on the architecture of this house that housed people who did evil, unspeakable, horrific things to other human beings. We're still on that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's such a good point. Yes. Yvette says our people were enslaved and today they're still enslaving us. The shackles are just different. They keep their foot on our neck and telling us to get up. Hmm. Yeah. That's important. The institution of slavery was abolished, right? Through our action. I think the teaching is a lot that someone else decided, woke up and like, I'm just going to abolish slavery. No, it was through our actions over centuries, right? That abolished the institution of slavery. But we see the remnants because the system did not go anywhere. The institution was ended legally, but we see the remnants of it still playing out today. That's real. They think if they put a Black Lives Matter sign in their front yards and windows, it's enough. Ooh, yeah. Coming from Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where I relocated before moving to Guadalajara, seeing the neighborhoods that are experiencing severe gentrification, and seeing like all the Black Lives Matter signs in their windows, right? Knowing that they have no problem forcing Black people out of their homes, but they'll put a Black Lives Matter sign in their window in a second. But you're okay with forced displacement. It doesn't make sense. Again, going back to DEI roles, the bait and switch. This stuff doesn't make sense because it's lies. That's why it doesn't make sense. Hmm. Yeah. Mm. Mimi. They have the nerve to tell us that we shouldn't be complaining since we weren't personally enslaved. Mm. And we carry the trauma of centuries of enslavement within our DNA. The field of epigenetics, right? The study of how trauma is passed down from generation to generation. We're still carrying that trauma with us today. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. Yeah, every chance I get. Because the system, again, is still being perpetuated. The system did not go anywhere. The institution was legally ended. The system did not go anywhere. It's still operating. That's why we see it mirrored in so many other areas of society today. Yeah. Yes, it was. Thank you. Hi, I'm the hog. Thank you, Danny. Yeah. Hi, I'm the hog. Yeah, I love that documentary, and I believe he did go to Ghana. I could be wrong about that. Um, yeah, that was powerful. That's funny. They're gonna move the furniture around up in there. Yes. Yes. BLM posters not allowed on organizational property like our offices, but anti-Semitism stuff. Don't tread on me. Don't tread on me. Stuff is allowed. IDK. What tread on me means? My family's from Cape Verde. I'm learning y'all. Oh no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, don't tread on me. I used to see those all the time. Um, it's kind of like an anti-government um, arm faction in the U.S. Um, Let me think about how to answer that. Yeah. Under the guise of being against the government, but yet still being like pro police a lot of the times, with anti-blackness as like a core operating principle, if you would call it that. Um, yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, don't tread on me is a military thing, but certain people might have that flag along with their Blue Lives Matter flag. Okay. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. Mm. All the flags. Yeah. And that's one of the things I'll say, like traveling outside the US, you'll notice how few flags there are. I used to see flags all the time for everything, right? It was always a flag for some type of weird thing happening. Everyone had to have a bumper sticker. Um, yeah, I was looking at a house in Charlotte at one point, and right down the road, there was a huge Confederate flag. I'm like, okay. So there's a lot of flags for different things in the US, and you just don't see that for real when you leave. And it's kind of shocking when you go back. Um, you start to see things differently. Things that you may have questioned a little bit before, those things start to become solidified. Like, why is this like this? Because now I've seen a different way. And I know that people do not operate like this outside of these borders. So, what's going on? What's really going on? Yeah. Pamela says, exactly. Epigenetically, we bear the imprint of the inhumanity of enslavement. 100%. 100%. Yes. Yeah. That's so real. That's so real. Um, yeah. And that's hurtful too, right? To think that I am still carrying the trauma of enslavement in my DNA all of these generations later, and the impact that that has. That's real. Yeah. Okay. Ah, I was just listening to that. They not like us. They not like us. Okay. That's real. TV Davis says it's nice to have this platform to commune with y'all because you start to feel like you are the problem. No, no, but no, it's the way the system was designed to work. It is. It is. No, you're not the problem. Yeah. And I agree. It's very helpful to have other people recognize and reflect back to you. Like, no, it's not just you. I feel this way too, and it's messed up. It's messed up. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Ooh. Stephanie says, I don't participate in DEI activities at work if I don't have to. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us are waking up again to the way that our legitimate care and concerns are utilized, are viewed by other people to exploit, right? Putting us at, like, giving us these roles as a sort of like way for us to feel like I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird how they give us these roles and we're expected to be appreciative of extra work, right? Of leading these things with our pain from the lived experience of going through these things. Now we're teaching, educating other people who a lot of them still don't see us as human beings capable of experiencing emotions. And so their capacity to feel or empathize with what we're going through is not there because they don't view us as human. And yet we're spinning our wheels, contributing so much knowledge, so much effort to these causes. And it's just like, for what? Again, we see the backlash against DEI in the US. And thinking about all the people in DEI roles, right? Especially Black women who have contributed their entire careers to this field, only for it to be dismantled so quickly. Mm, yeah, yeah. It's really it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Yeah, and as the recipient, right, of a lot of these initiatives, DEI initiatives in spaces where there are so few of us, like banking, um, again, seeing the level of mistreatment that I experienced, your intention can be in the right place, right, to bring more Black people into fields, but the impact, what impact is it actually having on people that you're bringing in? How are they being harmed in the process? And is it worth it to try to fit into a system, a space, an institution that never wanted you there in the first place? Is it worth it? Right? And I have to ask myself that too, as someone who worked on initiatives, again, for internship programs, mentorship. It's a hard question. It is. Because we see that as the gateway to advancing, right? Advancing, problematic, but in the society, things like, again, tech, finance, STEM fields, go into this so that you can be fast tracked to economic success, but at what cost? At the cost of your life sometimes, as we have seen. Like it's that serious. At the cost of your life, your health, your well being, your peace, your dreams. But at least you have a paycheck. Why am I trading this off? And why are these the fields that are valued so highly that people actually do earn a living wage? Hmm. Lots of things. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm the DEI. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Seeing that now be weaponized as a oh, just another term. Just another term. It never ends. It never ends. Yeah. Mm. That's a good point. Yeah. I can't stand it. BLM became social currency. They think that it's brave and helpful. Yeah. Social currency. Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, like that goes back to like the first point I mentioned, co-opting language. If you co-opt language and you use it for purposes it was not intended to be used for, you dilute the meaning. And it gets confusing because now you're using this term for this, but I saw it used over here, which is what I ran into. A lot of this language was very familiar to me, but it wasn't being used for the correct purpose. But that is a tool of oppression to dilute so that words no longer have meaning, so that the hardship and the hurt and pain that these terms came out of is forgotten. And all of a sudden it's confused, the lines are blurred, people don't know what did this come from this, like the historical context is removed. Yeah. Mhm. Okay, Nate, who needs DEI when you're finally free? Yeah. 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 Because DEI is intended to fit within, to contort ourselves, to fit within oppressive systems. Why do we have to do that? Why do we have to do that? Why is that the only option presented to us so often? To squeeze yourself in, to be silent enough so that people don't really see you, right? You can kind of blend in so that you are on the track to security when we know that's not actually true. So, what we're being sold is that it's not matching with what is actually happening for so many of us. Mhm. Yeah, Pamela, but as we know all too well, intent does not equal impact. It does not. It does not. Um, that's so key. That's so key because you can have the best of intentions. And if the impact does not match your intentions, you got to go back to the drawing board. That's real. That's real. And listen, wait till we build in our own independent city state, getting rid of this DEI nonsense. I love that. Yes. Stephanie said they asked me to participate in a DEI activity one time, and I wanted to show them the 9 areas of activity in which white supremacy existed. It's the same visual that, oh, I lost the last part, but yeah. It's like you want me to do this until I actually show up in state facts, and then you didn't actually want the facts. That's what I ran into. It's like, hold on, y'all told me that you wanted teaching, education, right? Knowledge about the actual systemic injustices within the financial system in the US. I'm giving it to you. Then they're like, oh, we were just playing. I'm sorry. Not even saying I'm sorry. It's like, we were just playing. No. Meanwhile, traumatizing me in the process, which is the case for so many of us. And it's tired. It's tired. Yeah. In a DEI activity a while ago, I was going to show them the 9 areas of activity in which racism existed. They were too uncomfortable to discuss. What do y'all want? Because this is confusing, right? Asking us to lead these things, not really wanting us to lead it. It's confusing, and that is oppression. Oppression creates a lot of confusion because there's a lot of lies going on. People are not being genuine with what they're actually doing, with why they're bringing us in, with why they want us to lead these things. They're not being genuine. And it's harming us in the process because we start to, again, self gaslighting is very real and can lead to things like depression. When people in your environment are gaslighting you, they're confusing you, telling you they want you to do something, but they don't actually want you to, they're lying. That can lead to severe mental health consequences. So this is like not a game, it's not a joke, even though they treat it like that. Yeah. I'm sorry that happened to you. They were too uncomfortable to discuss. Then don't ask me to lead a DEI activity. That's it. Hmm. Mimi says co-opting language. That's a really good point. Yeah. Yeah. That's real. That's real. And especially in community development, which was a term that came out of the Black Power movement. And me entering into it, right? A lot of this is very, again, familiar to me. I'm doing this with genuine intentions. It's like, oh, you co-opted the language of an entire movement for justice for communities after things like urban renewal in the 70s completely decimated Black communities. People had gotten together and formed coalitions to push for legislation like the Community Reinvestment Act of 1977, I believe. But these things are rooted in real things, liberation movements, community activism. But the language is now being co-opted for initiatives, for things that have absolutely nothing to do, that are actually quite the opposite of what was originally being fought for. And so it's confusing. It's like, no, you're not actually doing community development. You just stole that term. You stole the term. And that's why it doesn't make sense. And that's why it's confusing, because when you steal things, it's not going to make sense if you try to carry it out. Mm-mm. Woke. Woke. The term woke. Yeah. Again, diluted, the meaning diluted. We see this over and over again with words, terms. Yeah, the meaning is diluted. A tool of oppression to dilute something that's actually rooted in something very real, rooted in struggle, and then using it for their advantage to maintain the system as it is. Yeah. They did. They did. Yeah. TP Davis is funny how DEI got used to give all these other groups the come up, but all of the negative connotation gets dumped on Black folks. We'll be the most educated in the room, but affirmative action. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And we often see progress that we fight for, again, rooted in movements for Black liberation, us not benefiting from that. Our words being taken, stolen, co opted, diluted, used for other purposes that were nowhere near where the original intention was. And we're not even benefiting from all of the blood, sweat, and tears that we contributed to get these things started, passed, to improve conditions, right? Living conditions. Now we're excluded from our own movement. That's real. That's real. Yeah. Oh, what? Southern babe. I work with an ERG but couldn't say the terms white because we work in a colorless company. So I couldn't even vent my frustrations. I'm sorry. A colorless company. Wow. I'm sorry. Yeah. And that kind of removes the implication. When you label something by its true name, these are the people, this is the group that is harming, they are implicated. And one thing oppressors do not like to be is implicated. So they will use anything at their disposal to kind of like make it muddy, right? Muddy the water so it's confusing so that people don't know who the actual perpetrator is. And that's why it's so important to bring the truth to light at all times, because they are working behind the scenes to make sure that they're not implicated, and they're the ones who caused the issue. That's ooh. Oh no. No. I don't even want to read that. We want to discuss DEI. We meant you still got to make us look good. We're just trying to make a quota. That's real. That's real, though. That's real. It is. Again, dehumanizing. Yeah, that's real. And that's, yes, our words in their mouths are so empty and soulless. They are. They are. Because you could never understand. And you out here like, talking about systemic racism. You're out here spouting words of community movements, of people who have fought, sometimes died for the cause of Black liberation. You're out here repeating their words. And it's empty, it's hollow. And we saw that so often in 2020. 2020 was wild. We saw that, right? Companies quoting people that they had no understanding of their scholarship, but it looked good on advertising. It looked good on a social media post. We're not going to talk about the Black Square. We're not going to talk about the Black Square. The Black Square. Oh my God. Oh, the Black Square. Yeah. They don't see color. How does that work? How? And no, we're off the people of color. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, lumping the global majority, lumping the global majority into one group. Othering, right? Because the people of color is one term. Like, what's a people of not color? They're viewed as a default. The default people. When they're like a small percentage, very small percentage of the total population of the world, nah. No. Nate says diverse amongst who? Equity to put me on par with who? Included with who? Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah. Who is the default? And why are we striving to be accepted and included? Like you said, why? That's paternalism, right? Wanting to be having someone above you to seek their approval, which again is a continuation of the system of enslavement, seeking someone else's approval. Who has no bearing truly on your life, but they have assumed the role of power over your life and over the direction of your life. And so now you have to appeal to them to be in their spaces when they never wanted you there. It's tiring, it's frustrating, it's exhausting by design. Yeah. Mimi said 2020 was crazy. Yeah, all these companies were in a rush to show that they were down. And anyone who actually knows anything was not fooled, but they were able to convince the people they wanted to convince. Yeah. 2020 was a mess. Ooh, the book clubs. The book clubs in 2020. Ooh, yeah, that was wild. That was a wild time. That was a wild time. But yeah, y'all, as we're winding down, oh my God, it's only almost been 2 hours, but thank you so much for being here, for contributing everything that you have in the chat. This has been healing and cathartic for me to share my experience, to hear your experiences. Yeah, Mimi said, excluded from our own movement, okay? From our own movement. Yes. No. Yeah. Yeah. That's wild. Excluded from our own movement. Yeah. Just going through the comments here. Something made my DEI given mentor said, OMG, I had no idea these things still happened. See, that's exhausting. That's exhausting. To constantly have to come back as someone who's like, I had no idea this was even going on. That tells me that you're not even remotely interested in what I experience day to day as a human being navigating this world. It has no bearing on how you feel, right? You feel absolutely no way towards it, about it. And so how am I supposed to trust you in a mentorship relationship? Mm. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Mimi, the book clubs. Oh, the book clubs of 2020. There were so many book recommendations. Again, Black women often being tasked to, at least the organization I was in, right, lead book readings, clubs, recommend books. That was a troubling time. That was a troubling time. Yeah. And again, we see the backlash towards that. Just that. Yeah. More of them expecting us to do the labor of educating them. Yeah. Yeah. The labor. The labor. Yeah. Yeah. And I keep going back to this feels like a labor movement that Black women are leading, right? No more will you get our labor and just feel entitled to it. No. It harm us in the process, traumatize us, bring us to the point of severe depression, contributing so much time, labor, effort to the point where we neglect ourselves in the process, our families, and you just feel like that's what we're supposed to do. No, it's not. It's not. We're not put here to contribute our labor to you. We are in control of that, right? Taking back control and power of that. I decide where my labor goes. I decide if I want to do this initiative. Are you compensating me for it? Then I'm not doing it. But so often we have been taught to put our worth in these extra roles and responsibilities and leadership. For what? How has it benefited us? Yeah. Oh, no. And all the white folks writing books on racism and their fragility. Oh, making so much money. Making so much money. Left and right. Getting speaker opportunities to speak about systemic racism and their fragility. That was a wild time. I don't think I fully processed 2020. How strange that was, right? Like, hmm, that was weird. That was weird. What? My organization added Black athletes on walls and offices. Post 2020, people complain, but won't sponsor Black models or athletes for their products. Hmm, that's confusing all the way around. Oh my gosh. It's so much. It's so much. For Alicia, I have to admit that for a second there in 2020, yeah, I thought we were going to see some real change. Hey, listen, it felt like it for a brief second, for a brief second, and then it vanished. Just as quickly as it came, it was like, okay, it went away. And now we see the backlash to like even that second of progress. I wouldn't call it progress, but like, yeah, perceived, even perceived progress, it will be met with backlash. Because it challenges the systems as they are currently operating. And the people who uphold those systems will not concede power. Why would they concede power? If they are artificially at the top of a system that they created, why would they ever choose to concede? Mhm. Nate says, so glad we finally had a long live. Oh, yeah. I showed up on time too and everything. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, thank y'all so much for sharing your stories. This is healing. This is healing because it can feel like you are alone, isolated. You're the only one going through this, thinking these things. It's like, no, a lot of us are. Um, I think the internet has done the internet's, ooh, a lot of stuff about the internet. But one of the things it has done right is create spaces like this for us to be able to connect and share what we're observing. So it doesn't feel like we're the only ones doing it or thinking it. Like, no. Not on my watch. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Things are moving globally. I never seen anything like it. Yeah. And I think that scared a lot of people. I think it scared a lot of people because it was global. Yeah. And we were starting to see once again, because this happened in the 70s too, a global movement against common oppressors. And whenever you have something like that, that's like the scary thing, right? For a lot of people who are upholding these systems, because again, we are the global majority. So when we start to see connections in our experiences, what happens? Realizing that we're experiencing similar things on opposite sides of the globe sometimes. And there's a common oppressor at play. That's real. That's real. Yeah. 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 It sucks to live in a country that hates you. Yeah. Hmm. It does. It does. Yeah. Thank you for that. Like, no matter what you do, again, no matter what you contribute, no matter how many degrees you have, it's like you can go, it's like an endless seeking of something that you'll never be able to grasp because it's never about you. It's never about you. But they have us continuously chasing external validation, all these things, when that doesn't change the fact that they, like you said, hate us still. And even more so when we have these credentials that they view as outshining them, which is the whole concept of from pet to threat. Yeah. That's what it feels like. 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023 jumped us so bad. We blacked out and just now getting up like what happened. That is so real. Yeah. That feels like, it feels like a 4 year like haze of just surviving day to day. Hmm. Yeah. And we haven't even begun to process what happened, right, with the pandemic. It has just been survival mode for the past 4 years. And just sitting with the impact and the weight of everything that we've seen, experienced, seen lies exposed, seen systems fail, break down. What is the impact on us? What has been the impact? I don't think we've really sat with that because we haven't had time to. We haven't had space to. Yeah. I saw an interview with Malcolm X that says that, and his words are still relevant. The moment the veil lifted for me, I'm out. Yeah. 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 The autobiography of Malcolm X, um, written by Alex Haley, I believe. Yeah, that was life changing. I actually read that book while I was at the bank internship, my first internship in banking. Yeah, that kept my sanity together. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, y'all. As we're winding down, just want to thank y'all so much for being here, for again sharing your experiences because we learn from each other in the chat. Um, Everything that we share is kind of like someone said, community healing, and this is very healing just to be able to see your experiences mirrored back through other people sharing theirs. So yeah, appreciate everything that you shared tonight. And yeah, if you haven't registered for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women, it's coming up this weekend. Um, jobliberation.heysummit.com to get your tickets. Alicia will be leading her session on reclaiming your dreams and your creativity after surviving a toxic job. Which, yeah, which she helped me do in the garden. So thank you. But yeah, thank y'all so much. You're welcome. Pamela says, thank you, Marissa. We appreciate you. Take care and see you at the summit. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I will see y'all this weekend. Y'all who are coming. Yay. TV Davis, I'm so excited to hear that. Yay. Yeah. We leaving already? Yeah. Yeah. It's been 2 hours. I don't know how. Y'all have just been a lovely community tonight. This has been really cathartic, and I really do appreciate everything that you shared. Mimi says, I'm so glad to be here. I really appreciate these conversations that you facilitate. Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited about the summit. Yay! I'm excited too. I'm excited. I'm nervous, but I'm excited too. Yes. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Being here. And yay. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Okay, y'all. On that note, gonna end the stream. But again, thank you for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Those of you who will be at the summit, I look forward to seeing you there. Yeah. Until then, y'all, please like, comment if you feel so inclined. But yeah, until next time, y'all. Bye.